माननीय मंत्री जी,
Thank you, Madam. Madam, to start with, I'd like to give the background with which this ordinance was brought in. It was felt that there's an urgent need to take additional fiscal measures so as to attract investment, stimulate growth, and also to create job opportunities. It was also noticed that many countries, particularly in our neighborhood and also in the Southeast Asian regions, had reduced their corporate tax, and as a result of which they were able to attract a lot of investment and create job opportunities. In particular, when the corporate tax rates were reduced by the Asian developing countries, the emerging markets, who actually compete with India to attract investments, provided that we were able to provide some impetus in the form of reducing the corporate tax. I'll just very quickly draw the attention of the House through you, Madam, that the recent cuts before we brought in on September 20th the ordinance, the recent cuts which had taken place in the Southeast Asian nations is worth observing. Thailand and Vietnam had reduced their corporate tax to 20 respectively. Singapore was at 17. Timor, which is a small republic, had reduced to 10. And the other countries were seriously contemplating bringing down the rates. Keeping in mind that the trade war which was going on between the US and which continues to go on even today, the trade war which was going on between the United States and the Chinese Republic, or People's Republic of China, with indications that many of these corporates, multinational companies would want to get out of China, we had all the more reasons why we had to very quickly, in spite of only a couple of months had passed off after the budget was presented in July in this House, we thought it was necessary that we had to quickly take a call in reducing the corporate tax. And therefore, the ordinance, because the House was not in session, the ordinance route was taken up. And what actually had come through in that ordinance? We've reduced the corporate tax for both the existing companies and also for those new companies which would want to start business in India. An option was provided. An option was provided to all existing domestic companies to pay tax at 22%, which will have an effective rate of 25.17% after including the surcharge of 10% and the cess of about 4%, as against the existing highest effective corporate tax of 34.94%, subject to the conditions that it does not claim any tax exemptions or deductions. So for existing companies, the option was provided. And these companies were also exempted from payment of minimum alternative tax, the MAT. So if that was the provision that we made or option that we gave for existing companies, we also came up with a reduction of corporate tax rate for new manufacturing companies which were going to start off business as of the date that we had given, 1st October 2019. A new domestic manufacturing company, therefore, if incorporated on or after 1/10/2019, and which commences manufacturing. This is important. Those who start the company as of 1st October 2019, but who actually start commencing manufacturing on or before 31/3/2023 was provided an option to pay tax at 15%. The effective rate, therefore, in this case would be 17.16 after including the surcharge at 10% and cess at 4%, as against the existing highest rate of 29.12, subject to all conditions that it does not claim any exemptions. So through the ordinance, when these reduction in corporate rate were brought in, even for the new companies, on the minimum alternate tax, the MAT, we had given an exemption that they will be totally exempt. The new companies, those who start from 1st October and those who actually start manufacturing before 2023, will be totally exempt from minimum alternative tax. So these were the two main announcements of the ordinance. Of course, there were many other points that we also included in that ordinance, which I'd like to draw the members' attention through you, ma'am. The reduction in the rate of the minimum alternative tax for companies who may choose to remain in the existing system, existing tax regime, availing of all the exemptions and deductions that have been offered, will be reduced from 18.5 to 15%. That was also mentioned for those companies which still continue to have the option of wanting to remain where they are, use the exemptions that are available to them, the deductions available to them, and for them, we also gave a provision that they can benefit from a reduced